My name is Sam Hess, and I'm 30 years old. Since I was a child, I was always a bit of a loner, immersed in my own world, which I populated with creativity, including imaginary friends. Illusions that had their own personalities, faces, voices. Sometimes I could even see them and listen to them calling me, because they wanted to play or to talk. This was normal to me, as being highly intelligent as my IQ test had shown, I had the notion I wasn't really mad, and was able to make the distinction between reality and my beloved fictions. And I never stopped living within the real world. I was a great student, and became a psychiatrist, for obvious reasons. I even got married, but it didn't last more than 2 years. Fortunately though, we didn't have any children, and I've lived alone since I was 25. Having my own private practice as a psychiatrist, my job consists of receiving people in my office and listening to their problems and to help them to improve their mental health. Sometimes therapy is enough, even if it takes a lot of sessions. But in some cases, I also prescribe medication, although it's something that I prefer to avoid. One day though, I experienced an episode which made me go back to my younger days, when my imagination called the shots. But this time, I can say it was a more advanced level, so to speak. I was listening to one of my patients. He was sitting on the couch in front of me as I was speaking to him and taking notes, doing what I do best, to dwell into the person's subconscious and find a way to heal him or her from their inner fears, insecurities and barriers. But all of a sudden, my office started to change. Within a few seconds, I was now surrounded by a forest. My patient was a different person, who was sitting on a rock instead of the couch. This was a shock, of course, but at the same time, I knew about the capabilities of my own mind. I just had no idea that they could reveal themselves like that, without my will. And this was such a realistic experience. Everything around me seemed as material as the normal world, outside my brain. The person in front of me was now an old man, dressed in white. White was also his long beard and long hair. He seemed like an old druid. He was speaking to me. Time and space are nothing but illusions and fabrications of the universe. A superior, yet manipulative intelligence. Some of us have the ability to see and hear beyond that. Hence, to decide what scenario suits us better. It's like choosing which words you want to speak, the old man said. Then, what is real? Are you real? Is this forest real? I asked. In this particular moment I am, at least to you. Everything is subjective, he replied. What about me? Do I even exist on my own? I insisted on my questions. Does it matter? Does it make any difference? If you're just a product of that superior intelligence, he answered. Then, everything vanished, and was replaced by a black screen or void. I was now, once again in my office, being awoken by my patient. Dr. Hess, are you okay? 1 second you were looking at me, and then you simply passed out. Just like that, you told me. Oh, I'm sorry, must be tired. I apologize, I replied, feeling embarrassed. I hope I wasn't being boring, the man said. I was unable to tell if he was just kidding. No, not at all, not at all. Quite the opposite. Guess I just felt so overwhelmed, so much food for thought. Please, let's continue, I answered. We finished the session, and the rest of the day went normal. When I arrived home, however, I couldn't stop thinking the words of that old man that appeared in those woods, that my mind had produced. In fact, in that night, once again I was able to change the entire surroundings. This time, I was in another house. Instead of being in my small apartment, I saw myself in a huge living room, in a mansion. There was a piano among the furniture. I was never able to play the piano, but I sat by it and started to play the keys. I was both fascinated and surprised by noticing that my hands were playing complex and beautiful melodies that I couldn't even identify. After a while, I got up from the piano seat. I decided to make a test. I was now searching for the kitchen. I assumed the house had one, even if it was just my mind producing it. And I was right. After walking through the long corridor and checking out a few rooms, I eventually found the kitchen. There, it wasn't hard for me to discover some knives. I picked up one, and I made a deep cut into my left leg. It was painful, and I was bleeding. Not too much, but enough to serve its purpose. Again, as earlier before, in my office I was blacked out. When I woke up, I'd returned to my small apartment, and I was lying in bed. But my left leg still had the wound from the cut, and even the sheets from my bed were stained with blood. The test was useful. I now know that all these different dimensions are real. I just have no idea which ones are produced by my own mind, and those that are not. I keep thinking about the old man's words. Honestly, I don't know if I'm even real. At least as an independent and autonomous being. But as time goes by, I think I don't really care anymore.
Subscribe today, or beware.